Hello. In this video, I'm going to talk about profit and exactly what is profit. This really applies to any recipe you use, but the more aggressive recipes make it more difficult to see what that profit is. So let's start by looking at the screen. This is Equilibrium Trading LTC. I've had this running now for about 2 days. As you can see, not a lot of trades. This is to be expected out of a high market cap coin. It has more market capital, therefore less volatility. And volatility really is in relation to the number of purchasers and sellers the market supports. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to use simple mathematics. So, with this process, I'm using one lot, or roughly the equivalent of $1.50. Now, if my position size is $1.50, and I'm using 1% as my deviation, take profit boundary, how much money am I going to really get out of this coin? It's very simple. I'm only going to get 1 penny every time I make a sell. 1 penny, that's it. Now that doesn't sound like much, but any kind of an accumulation process works through aggregation. And even though equilibrium is not an accumulation process directly, indirectly it still is, because it sells in sequences. Your exchange wallet is always based upon one number, whatever the current average is of the totality of that asset. So, for every time I make a sell, I make 1 single penny. Equilibrium in this state is penny scalping, and its aggregated process is where I profit. Remember, it doesn't make money during the accumulation stage when it makes multiple purchases going down. It doesn't really make money when it reverses and makes multiple sells going up. At least not in a traditional sense. It makes money either at the reset, when it clears the assets off altogether and redoes the grid, or when the market moves sideways and it buys and sells multiple times in a narrow price range. Ranged markets are really where equilibrium makes its money. Higher market cap coins, as you can see, don't offer this as greatly as lower capped coins. But what they do offer is a slower pace that provides a more defensive approach. So even though you're not going to make as many trades, you will still make money on it, and it is still a good investment. So every time you see a reset, that is when the profit is fully realized at all levels. And when you're looking at your list of purchases and sales, the point to be aware of is, how do you know exactly where you sit with all of this? Like right now, where is my account? Am I above water or am I below water? Well, I've made 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I've made 14 cents, 14 pennies. But I am 2 positions underwater, or 2% from the purchase price. So even though I have 14 pennies profit off of this coin, I am currently underwater because I have 2 positions. I am back in the accumulation stage, where the profits have been absorbed into the accumulation temporarily. Now I have roughly 18 total purchases. That's not necessarily accurate in terms of a rough estimate, but it's good enough to let me know that with that context, I have 4 more purchases total than I have sales. That gives me a very crude estimate that I'm underwater. The exact amount will be the differences between your purchases and your sales from your last reset. Basically, whatever tier you're on is a crude estimate of what your profitability or underwater state will be. So let's move to another coin. Now sushi is one that I migrated over from FTX. And as you can see right now, I'm holding in the low 200s for my particular depth level of this table. So let's come back here and let's see the whole trade mechanic of sushi. So here is sushi, all of my trades thus far. And as you can see, I did testing, then I hand calibrated my balance. Not a nice process, and hopefully I will have a working way that you can do that with an existing budget very shortly. But for now, my hand calibration put me at roughly 200 positions underwater, or a depth of 200 based upon the budget I moved over from FTX. And you can see that it has been maintaining pretty stable back and forth buys and sells. Now, it may not look it, but this is actually profitable. This back and forth channeling effect between 1% low and 1% high is giving me consistent profits, even though the coin itself is so far down in debt. Let's see, I started out at 36.51 for a position. Let's keep going all the way through. And I'm currently down to 35.26 for a position. Not a lot of movement, but again, at 1 penny per every single sell, it adds up. And that is really how any accumulation recipe makes a profit. Not so much on a single massive sell-off, but through these tiny little profits slowly building. But again, you have to take into account and context How far underwater are you from your initial purchase price? That decides the problem of profit versus consumption. So even though I am making profits with my sales, every time I make an additional purchase, that profit is being consumed by that purchase. And that's why the grid reset is so important. That's when all of the profits combined are fully realized. But it may take a long time, especially if you migrate a coin and you stay in a burn-off state for a while, which is what this is. This is a burn-off state. I am burning off a previous balance. Now, I started at a depth of 200 for my previous balance. I'm currently at a depth of 207. So I've added 7 positions to my original depth. But it looks like I might have been as high as 215 or 220. Let's see. So 215 looks like my low. And I was actually as low as 188. Now, of course, being lower than 200 means I burnt off a significant amount. Then I reaccumulated it in the process of the market moving. That's fine. That's what this is meant to do. And that is really the significance of the process. Now, let's go take a look at another coin. Okay, CRV is a coin I migrated as well. This one was migrated from Kraken. And as you can see, I've gone through 2 resets on this screen. So right now, I have basically 1% below the grid reset. So let's go back to my first channel. And let's take a look at CRV. Okay, so here we go with CRV's full history. You'll see where I've been doing some testing. And you'll see the history. Not bad. It's still not where I need to be, and I'm still underwater. But overall, this is a complete grid reset. And even though I had a balance, I had to refocus my balance differently with this coin, because I had a different deviation and a different number of lots. On Kraken, I was trading 4 lots with a 2% deviation. When I migrated it to KuCoin, I had to rethink the whole process to get it down to a 1% deviation and 1 lot. Again, not a lot of money. $3, 3 pennies per sale. But through aggregation, I make up the difference. Through the back and forth, up and down, sideways motion of the market, I am profiting. Let's move through. And as you can see, the realization of that profit when the grid resets. So now let's go through. Okay, here's CRV. Glitch. This coin was a unique little prospect all the way around. Turned out to be a surprisingly good coin for such low volume. Now, Glitch was a fresh start on KuCoin, when I started from the beginning and I watched it build. Again, very simple mathematics, 1 penny profits. As you can see, it does fairly reasonably well. And you can see the number of times it resets by the cell being 0. So let's move through. Let's see how high we get. Okay, we're in the depth in the 50s. So crudely 50% below initial purchase price. 57% here. But as you can see, it has a history that does continue to decrease. And I literally burnt off the budget. That is important. That means it reset the table and I realized my profits. In essence, I burnt off roughly 20 positions through the reverse trading. That gave me slightly less profit, but at the same time, that gave me real world money in the account. Then I started over, and here I am back and forth again. And as you can see, the up, down, sideways motion, the ranging of the market, where the market can't decide if it wants to go down or up. So the bears and the bulls are tugging at each other, trying to move it one way or the other. So while they're fighting it out, I'm making money. 1 penny at a time, but money is money. Through these simple, small amounts, I have added to my account over the last couple of days at least $5. Doesn't sound like much, but when you look at how much I actually have at risk, it's quite generous. Now, when you compare this to a standard savings account of making 1 penny for every $10,000 per year, this is smelling like a bed of roses with no thorns. And that really is the whole crux of the matter. That is where your profits live. A lot of people believe that they should be able to make huge profits in the market. And yes, that would be nice if you could just buy into a position and come back with a 300% hike in your profit. But the reality is, those moments don't happen often. Those moments are not the normal process in the market. This is the normal process. Small profits over time aggregating into a consistency. That is the stability of real profit making. Don't be manipulated into thinking that you have to have one size fits all, winner take all profits. It doesn't work. Not on a normal level. Markets, especially with what we've had lately, with the extreme volatility, require understanding that profits are through accumulation, dollar cost averaging, or methods like this that work long term at small levels. It seems counterproductive at first, but when you see a full completed cycle, then you realize what your real profit potential is for a given asset. As you can see, 2 grid resets here, which means 2 times all of my empirical profits became full, true realized profits. And that is what I wanted. Real money. Now you can see we're back into the accumulation sideways motion. Another reset, more money. Only pennies, but you have to start somewhere. And the first thing every trader has to learn the hard way is just how difficult it is to keep your money. Once you've managed that process, then making money becomes a little bit easier. So now we are still running on this particular system, this particular cycle. I'm holding within the 10 to 12 range for my depth, but I'm going back and forth constantly, and you can see here how that is impacting the budget and how it is burning it off. For example, here I have a budget of 15. Here I have a budget of 10. So in this process, even though my depth hasn't changed, I've managed to sell off 5 glitch. Yeah, not a lot of money involved, but reasonably speaking, over time, this has done very well. I hope this helps explain exactly how you realize your profits. And more importantly, hopefully it helps dispel the mystery of where those profits come from, when you necessarily can't tell just by looking at your account budget. The more coins you trade, the harder it gets to tell exactly when you're making money. As the market constantly fluctuates, your profits get absorbed into your existing positions. So even though you might have a $5,000 budget, you've made $1,000, but if all your assets are, say, 5 to 7% below underwater, you may not even see your full potential budget profitability that you would have once all your assets sell with a profit. Understanding your profits is the first key to a meaningful trading paradigm. Understanding the paradigm's development of your profits is a meaningful way of understanding when you have a successful approach. Really, at the end of the day, that is the difficult part. There are places out there that can go through this process, add up your account, scan your records, and tell you one way or the other whether or not you're making money or losing it. Or you can just simply look at the results from your own order table and see that for a lot cheaper. It takes a lot of work maintaining an account balance reference. So places like CoinTracker or Crypto Trader, they have expensive fees. They work, but you don't need expensive fees just to figure out if something is working or not. Just look at the charts, look at the data, look at your order history, and you can figure out with very simple mathematics whether or not you're making money or losing it. So if you like this video, give it a like, help the YouTube algorithm grow, and help get this type of content out to other people who could benefit from it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or on the Jackrabbit support server. Until next time.